All right, so I got a new windscreen on the Racecar fitted the other day, and so that means that I need to fit a new heated pad underneath it for the demisting, because I don't have demister or anything in the car anymore, so you need to have something like this. So this kit's actually from the United States. It comes from a company called Frostfighter. It's called Clearview 2 Defroster. That's the part number if you're interested. They're designed for rear windows for cars that don't have factory electric demisters, but it sort of works pretty well for a race car application. So yeah, I wouldn't put it on a street car for sure, but yeah, it's fine for race cars. So when you buy these kits, you'll see that you've put in the size of your window and all that kind of stuff. And then there's like a sticker only kit, and then there's like a full kit. For a windscreen this size, and you could check with them just when you go to order it, just email them and ask them. But for one this size, you shouldn't need the full kit, because the full kit has like the switch and the timer and the regulator, which controls the voltage of these things so they don't pull too much current. But when you start to get to a really big setup, there's enough resistance in all the coils and stuff that it won't pull too much current. So you can just get away with the sticker kit and just put 12 volts straight on it, which is what I've done in this. I actually bought the full kit, but I wanted to incorporate it with my own wiring system, so so I just did it with 12 volt. I'll show you how that all works inside as well. So inside the car here, Riley's going to follow me in. So I've got these switches up here on the roll cage, and these just control some relays under the dash. And when I flick that one on, it just flicks on the relay and it puts 12 volts across this wire and grounds over there. So it just puts 12 volts across the heated pads, and it warms up effectively. So that's as easy as it is. All right, so I've marked on the car with these little bits of tape here where I think the top of the strip should be. Obviously, we don't need it up here because that's where the banner is for the sponsor. So effectively, my viewing range is sort of down here. So these strips here, they're basically copper, and they've got a dark side and they've got a light side, and the light side's not adhesive, the dark side's adhesive. So obviously the dark side goes up against the window. So what we'll do is, I might get a hand dryer if you want to put it over there, and we'll lie that, and we'll just get it to pull a little bit further along, and so it sits up against that line on the top.
Do you want to flip it over?
No. Why?
Because the dark side's the adhesive side.
Yeah, because the adhesive side goes up against, it goes on the inside of the window.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was just testing.
Just testing them, right? Keeping them on my toes. Yeah, sweet.
We'll clip that.
Okay, so I'll just put that there, hold it. There. Okay. And then we'll get the next one and do the same thing. And we'll see what it looks like. All right. So that's effectively the area of the windscreen that'll have the heated pad on it. I think that'll work out about right. Obviously it's not needed up there. I'm not going to be looking that low. So this is right in the middle of my view, but I'll just double check that. I'll get in the car and just make sure that's in my view. Yeah, so that's pretty much right in the middle of the view. Probably could go down a little bit further actually, because right here I might want to be looking there. So, and I can't imagine I'm going to be looking up there. That's far too high. So we'll move it down probably about 15 mil. We'll see how we go. All right. So I've moved it down a little bit. I think this is going to be better. Just make sure it's straight. So what we're going to do now is cut them to shape. So I'll mark them. Now it's pretty important you've got to cut these oversized because once they're glued onto the or stuck onto the windscreen, this bar sits over top of them, and then you get the excess length and you fold it back over itself and it sits across the bar. So these strips will go sort of here and over there. So what we'll end up doing is we'll actually I'll put a mark on the windscreen now actually to show where the center is. And if we put a mark, say there in the center. No, that pen doesn't work. Where'd that other pen go? Put a mark here, and another mark there. That way when we stick it on, we know where we're going to. And I'll put a bit of tape there so that we know that's the top of that edge. And the same over here. Okay. All right, then we need to cut it. So I'll grab this. Now, if we just roughly mark it down here at the edge of the windscreen. Like that. And that's top, middle and bottom. And that side. Okay, same over here. Okay. So the strip will go sort of around about here somewhere, so that should leave enough length that it will fold back over onto itself. So we can take this off the screen now. Oh, actually, you know what we should probably do as well? Is just put a mark. Mark these as well. Like that. That way we can line them up. All right, let's cut these up. Excess. Okay. We don't need these marks anymore. We just need these and the datum point there. All right, so in this kit, they give you a few things. But before we stick anything to the window, we have to prep the surface of the window with this stuff. It comes with the kit, gap 1. And we're going to wipe down the inside of the window, make sure it's nice and clean, even though it's brand new. All right. Give that a few seconds to dry and then we can put the first sticker in. All right, so with these, we know that that way was the arrow. The reason I've done this with the arrows is because I've been stuck before. I actually messed up one of these last time because I tried to put it on the wrong way and I stuffed it up. So arrow to arrow, and then you can see here, you can see the line inside. So you just hold your point on there. This is much easier with two people, so in a minute, Riley, you'll stop recording and we'll stick it on. And basically you just hold it in the center and make sure that you get it nice and straight all the way to that line. Same in that way. Then once it's all stuck on, then we'll move to the next one down, and then the next one down. Make sure it's all stuck on really well. So you want to really push all these into the glass before you remove the backing tape, and that's how we're going to do it. All right, so this is how we've done it. We've done one side, as you can see. We started from here. We hold it up against where it's going to sit, and then get the middle stuck, and then take off this backing tape and just work way along, and you'll see. Now it's not fully pressed on yet. You can see all the light bubbles. So what you want to do is, before you even think about removing this backing tape, just make sure all that's pressed really nice and hard into the window, all the way along. And but yeah, so what we're going to do is, right, if you just keep recording for a little bit, I'll just do it a little bit this way. You can see you want to hold it nice and straight. Keep that pattern and just work your way along with the adhesive. A bit more off. Don't touch the window if you can help it, because your oils from your fingers will go onto the window that you've just cleaned, and just work your way along.
So who'd you learn this off of?
Trial and error. I learned how to do it myself because I fucked it up the first time.
No, but like the technology.
Eh?
Like the technology, because I've never like heard of installing a kit on a race car.
Oh, just like purely off the off Google, like heated windscreen.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, so that lines up perfect. See?
I was trying to frame you like a pioneer.
Oh yeah.
No, I actually came up with this by myself.
Yeah, I invented this. Yeah, so that's that. So the next one, we do the same thing. Line the two marks up, work our way along again, and that's it.
Don't cut that off yet. Still gonna mark your blue lines.
Nah, I've got the marks on. Already on the
On the
line.
back, yeah.
Okay, so you can see our lines line up, and when it's being held, it's going to line up with the end there and there. So get that middle bit nice and stuck on, and we'll work this way first. Nice and slow, just work your way along. All right, what we're going to do, just get a clean rag so the oil from my fingers doesn't go everywhere. And now we just so we can pull it off, that's fine. It can all just come off now. And okay, now what we need to do is unstick, take the sheet off the top. It might even be easy to do it from here. So if we do that, cut and just tear that like that.
You got it in the end.
Okay, so when we've stuck all this on, I've got to clean this up first before we do the next step. But we've got these little copper strips. You'll see there's two long bits like that, and then there's two short bits like that. And then they give you these little cover pads as well. So what we do is we stick this sticky strip on the window across all the copper strips, and then we stick the links on. Now what happens is that the power has to flow through this 4 bars at a time. So as you can see, there's a connection point here, so that one will go like that across those 4 bars. Then it will flow through that way. On that end at the top, there'll be a long bar which links those 4 bars down to the next 4 bars, and then it will go back through this way. And then at the bottom of this side, there'll be another long one which will join those 4 onto the bottom 4, and then it will go through, and finally at the other end will be the last 4 connector under here, which is where our electrical connector does the return. So the way that these contact, these little strips contact the plate, is we stick these to the adhesive, and then that goes on top of the bar, and then we have to fold that back over it, and the copper that we can see there touches this brass here, and then we cover it with the black plastic, and that's what makes the contact. So it's this bit's really fiddly, but if you do it methodically, then it should work. But we have to make sure that this is really nice and clean before we stick these on, otherwise they won't stick properly. So we'll do that now. Alright, so to clean this stuff off, we're going to be using isopro alcohol. This is the rag that gap stuff came on before. And I'm going to give this a nice clean off all this adhesive that was left behind. I think the reason this stuff stuck so much this time, it didn't do it last time this much, but I think the reason is because I had this kit sitting as a spare for when I needed a new windscreen, so it's been on the shelf for a while. So I think that just the backings, the adhesive's sort of gone off a little bit, which is why it's sort of stuck onto the windscreen, but that's okay, we can clean it off. It's not too bad. Alright, we also want to clean the strips. Make sure these are nice and clean so they'll stick as well. Oh. That's pretty cool.
It's like Mighty Car Mods is like violin thing that they do with the intercooler.
Oh yeah, it's like a harp.
Yeah. Stop stroking it.
Can't help it, mate. So yeah, these are one side, so don't want to muck it up too much. Okay. So okay, that's stuck onto there. Give myself more room. Okay, now we've got a long bar, so we've got a connection point up here, so the long one's going to go on the bottom. And so and it needs to stop between the 4th and the 5th. So if we do something like that. Okay. Right. Then this one, ensuring that it's nice and straight. Now what you can use this as a guide, like hold this like this. That gives you a bit of a guide to make it straight. And you need to stick this on. Oh, I need 4 hands. ensuring there's a gap. And that's nice and straight. That's good. And you can see our connection point just goes, plugs on there. So what I'm doing is I'm using individual little strips like this, and I'm just pulling these back, making sure that the copper side is down on the bar, like that, and just putting a little bit of adhesive there to hold it for now, like that. And do the same for the next one. Alright, so as you can see, we've got all of our excess little tail bits just hung over. We've made sure that the copper is up against the brass. And so again, what we're going to do is, before we stick this cover strip on, we're going to make sure that everything is nice and clean so that it sticks nicely. So we'll just give this a gentle dab with alcohol. Then our strip here, as you can see, it's got a little slot in it. So what will end up happening is, once it's exposed, then it will stick on. This one's actually too short, which is great, but they've given us a little bit extra here, so I'll cut a little bit off and cover the rest of it. So that should be fine. So we'll take this off. That's good. That much. All right, so windscreen's all clean, done. That's what it looks like from the outside. When you're driving the car, you might think these bars might be distracting, but you don't even notice them, to be honest, when you start driving. So the only thing now to do is to turn it on and test it. So if we'll jump through in here and have a look. Rubbish yet. All right, so my isolator for the battery actually has a has CAN bus on it, so I can monitor the current flow. So with everything off at the moment, only the ignition on, there is 0.8 of an amp flowing out of the battery. So if I stick this on, you see it's now drawing 10 amps, 10.1 amps, which is around about what I was expecting. So it does take a little while to warm up. So if it's raining and you're going out for a wet race, you're going to want to turn it on a fair while before you start your race. But yeah, it should get the windscreen nice and warm, and then you shouldn't have any fogging issues.